Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com, your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Reach out to me directly for pricing. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com. Today, we are discussing the Omega Seamaster Diver 300-meter black ceramic, a combination of Sedna red gold and black ceramic. The watch is 43.5 millimeters in diameter. It is 14.7 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, 51.5 millimeters, and then there's a 21 millimeter spacing between the lugs. You can see the watch on my wrist of 16 centimeters circumference. The watch wears well. I think you could wear this watch on a wrist as small as 15 centimeters circumference. Any smaller, and you're going to want to get the 42 millimeter version in the metal case. But this timepiece does wear quite well for its size, being relatively short across the wrist, and at least by Omega dive watch standards, it's not as thick as, say, the Planet Oceans or the Ploprofs. Now, taking a quick look, you can see one of the reasons it fits so well is because this integrated strap juts down almost perfectly straight, 90 degrees from the case band, so it doesn't fight and flare like a lot of other integrated straps do. By integration, I mean there's no gap between the lug profiles or the case. It fills the entire gap, so it's rigid, but because it does project straight down, you don't have to bend it against its rigidity. Matte finish, you can see two strakes with some character lines on the side to add some definition, a wave motif on the bottom. The watch includes a polished black ceramic buckle and pin. This is where Omega really goes the distance, not giving you some sort of DLC titanium or steel buckle as most other brands would when presenting a ceramic watch. You get a buckle that is just as scratch resistant as the case. Omega and Seamaster, heavily branded and thoughtfully detailed. I like the fact that even the strap minders are correct to the make and model. We have that lyre style lug case that we've known since the early 60s on Seamasters and Speedmasters. So a satin finished mid case, a bevel that flares at its ends, and then an inward bevel on the inward facing sides of the lugs. Crown guard profile, you can see it's got a little bit of a shear guard protecting a gold crown. We have a conical helium escape valve. This is here for saturation divers. Helium will intrude into the case during a dive. As you ascend, you can open up this helium escape valve, and new for the current generation of diver 300 meters is the ability to open it while still underwater. When internal pressure, due to helium, builds to 2 to 3 bar higher than the external atmosphere, if the valve is screwed open, internally the valve will open and vent out that helium. The watch is 300 meters water resistant, and as you can see, it features a no-date dial, unlike the standard diver 300 meter. We have a bezel that is primarily crafted of gold. And as you can hear quite well, it is a 120 click bezel that moves with light action, but a relatively pronounced detent that you can hear and feel easily. As you can see, the insert atop is ceramic. The gold is Sedna red gold. Omega boasts that it is redder because of the higher copper content, and because of platinum family materials, it will not fade. It is functionally equivalent to something like Hublot's King Gold or Rolex Everose. Let's take a look at the Lume. And as you can see, there's plenty of it, but the bezel pearl and the minute hand are green, so you can easily judge them relative to each other. You don't have to search, and there's no confusion if you are using the watch to time a dive or using it to time events for which confusion and spare time both come at a premium and carry a cost. Now, taking a quick look at the dial, you can see that it is ceramic, whereas the standard diver 300 meter has a polished ceramic dial with little wells cut into it by laser to create the image of the Omega wave. Here we actually have a matte dial base with polished wave crest, so it's almost like an inverted version of the standard dial. Of course, the standard dial has a date, this one doesn't. This is a more traditional dive watch dial. We have the skeleton style Bond hands, because this is, after all, a descendant of the watch that Pierce Brosnan wore during his turn as Bond. These are often known as the James Bond Seamasters. But unlike what Pierce wore back in the day, we have a much better specification featuring applique indices rather than the old printed ones. And of course, the use of a ceramic dial means it has long wearing durability. It won't tarnish, it won't oxidize, it won't fade. It's a lot like enamel, but without the vulnerabilities and expense of enamel. And you can even see it says zirconium oxide right underneath the hands. Flipping the watch over, we have caliber 8806, which is the no-date version of the 8800 used in the standard diver 300 meter. You may wonder what naiad lock on the back means. It just means that the case back will always align perfectly top to bottom. So for example, diver 300 meter is never going to be off-centered at 3 o'clock or at 9 o'clock or at 6 o'clock. It always goes on and aligns perfectly. That's what naiad lock means today. Now, the movement. 1 barrel, 55-hour power reserve, automatic winding with ceramic rotor bearings. It has a stop seconds function, so you can set it against a reference time. It pivots on 35 joules. It has a full balance bridge with a free-sprung balance for toughness, and it is effectively amagnetic thanks to an anti-magnetic escapement and a silicon hairspring. It beats away at the silicon-specific rate of 25,200 vibrations per hour that you'll see across Swatch Group brands using silicon hairsprings. And of course, it is coaxial, using a direct and indirect impulse tangential contact escapement invented by George Daniels in the 70s and industrialized by Omega in the late 1990s. The timepiece also features master chronometer status, which means a test based on the timing standards of the ISO 3159 was elaborated by the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology. Now, the master chronometer test, you can see this is a master chronometer. It involves 6-position testing of the fully assembled watch. It also involves chronometry per the ISO 3159, but in addition, winding efficiency, power reserve, water resistance, shock resistance, and anti-magnetism. It is a full test of the assembled watch. The ceramic case is highly scratch resistant with a ceramic cap atop the bezel. The watch remains well shielded from blows, so if you don't like refinishing, then a ceramic watch is for you. This one featuring a little bit of an upscale sheen thanks to the addition of rose gold. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.